Excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Long Con. You've all been here at least once now. Congratulations. My slide advancing is going to be painfully slow, so I may just bail and use the keyboard. We'll see. Lots of talks about AI. AI had very strong opinions about this presentation and this talk. It wanted to call it something else, but mine is built entirely by average intelligence, not Apple intelligence, which is what you all assume AI means, right? It's clearly Apple intelligence. Yeah. So they wanted to call it this, and this seems very reasonable, but it's not even close to the reality because this is what actually was the case. So we recently moved outside the city, my family. We are on almost 16 acres. I am not taking up horses. I am not taking up power sports because that sounds like a great way to, I don't know what. So I needed a hobby. I needed something to do. Move that out of the way. I needed something to do because that is in the way of the video. That wasn't those things. So I'm going to do a quick pulse check. There's at least one. Are there any actual pilots here? Good. Are there any RC pilots here? Couple. Excellent. Anyone flown like a DJI or a camera drone? All right, a few more. So that's good. You're not allowed to fact check me. So you just stay quiet. I'm going to set up at the back after the fact. And I'm going to point out that indoors is not the jurisdiction of Transport Canada. So we're good. It's fine. We're going to talk about my bag of tricks, which no one can see, but I will set up at the back of the room so you can see it later. I had a whole camera set up for show and tell, but the fates have not been on my favor. What's actually in my bag of tricks is much more along the lines of this, or this. And these photos were taken by me at a meetup of an FPV community in Winkler, Manitoba. There's about 25, 30 of us that got together. It's a phenomenal group, but I have gotten into FPV drones, specifically the acrobatic kind. And this is a security conference. And you're absolutely right. You should go yell at the speaker selection committee because every year I put in multiple talks and they keep picking them. You should tell them to stop doing that. Sorry. Thanks. Not sorry. I wish I had a source for this quote. I'm going to stand out of the way for this one. But a pilot's license doesn't teach you to fly a plane that works in good weather by yourself. It teaches you how to fly a plane that doesn't work in bad weather around other people and stuff. If you just want to learn how to fly a plane that works, you can do that in a day because it's relatively straightforward and these are fascinating miracles of mechanical engineering. But that's not what this is for. So in the same way, security response is about planning, preparation, and response. And all of these things are super important, right? Because it's not about how do you protect perfectly, how do you respond perfectly, it's how do all of these things work together? And I'm going to demonstrate this by asking, how many people would be comfortable with me flying this in this room with everyone here right now?
No. Do it.
All right. You should all get checked for strokes because inappropriate risk-taking behavior is a symptom of a stroke. Talk more about that later. So we're going to get something out of the way. First-person view is not VR. It's R. It's the real world. Now, these things only have one camera. So it's not stereoscopic. It's not VR. It's not stereo. It's not AR. It is just the real world viewed from a single camera and presented to you. Now, there are a lot of goggles that you use will have dual screens, but there's no stereo depth there. All of your stereo depth comes from motion, which is how the vast majority of your understanding of the distant world works. And one of the fascinating things about this, and again, happy to talk more about it, this is an FPV drone. It is smaller than my palm. The all-up weight is less than 21 grams. And when I fly this, the world feels huge. It feels like you're in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That might be a bit too old. It feels in whatever new version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is. When you fly this, the world feels very much smaller. And that is the key difference between these sizes. But at the end of the day, it's not VR. So people that go, oh, I get so nauseated by VR, it's actually not that. It's much more akin to looking at a TV and watching a screen. The difference is you control what's going on. You are the bird, the dragonfly. So I do this largely to look like an idiot in public. Hang on, hang on, hang on. There. Someone said I wore a cool hat one of my first talks, so there we go. Is this better? Ooh. So this was, again, a meetup last weekend when we had 70-kilometer-an-hour winds, and about 6 or 8 of us met up at the water tower by Marion to see what happens when you take things that are this size and you put them in a 70-kilometer-an-hour wind. Because no one had done that before, and no one understood how their aircraft would behave. So this was an opportunity for us to learn in a safe space. It was Sunday, there's no one there, none of the businesses are open, but it's important for us to understand what's going to happen, because if you are flying around traffic and it is gusty, or you do enter a waterway with unusual wind patterns, you have to understand what's going to happen there. In the same way, you're going to crash repeatedly, a lot. And I have videos, but you're not going to be able to see them. I lost a 3-volt regulator mid-flight. What happens? Screen goes black and falls out of the sky with knives on it. This is supposed to be a 3-bladed prop. All of us can count, except for computer scientists who are, I'm sorry for your off by 1 condition. This is also supposed to be a 3-bladed prop. Now, if I had a nickel for every time this happened to me, I'd only have 2 nickels, which is not a lot of money, but it's weird that I have 2 of them. This happens when your video link happens to be within the same part of the 5.8 gigahertz spectrum that Wi-Fi is. And while you're far away from your house and your neighbors, you don't know where there are point-to-point links. And if a point-to-point link switches to your video band, you stop seeing what's going on very quickly. And, well, this is not supposed to be like that. So, smoked motors, broken flight controller, bad ESC, broken frame, bent props, learning experience. Again, this was supposed to be a video, and I'm really bummed that this one doesn't work, because this was supposed to show you why I do it. It's a video that shows what I see at the bottom and what the camera that I put on them sees on top. So this one carries 2 cameras. It carries one small one in the bottom, and it carries a larger one for recording 4K video on top. And because what I see is analog video. It is over-the-air CBVS on 5.8 gigahertz, not whatever UHF it was modulated to in the 80s. And it breaks up beautifully, just like you expect crappy TV to break up. Not suitable for really anything. The camera on top carries gyro data, and it can be used to stabilize it. It's a lovely experience, and the first question I get asked inevitably is, how far can you fly that? And the answer is, it depends. First, we're going to talk a little bit about gear. Those are my goggles. This is me. That you can't see is my radio, which is this guy. And these are 2 different receiver antennas because the goggles have a diversity receiver. So this one is an omni, and this one is a highly directional patch antenna. I try to face the direction of the thing, but if I'm not, then it will switch to the omnidirectional. Helps me not lose sight. And then the aircraft is, I don't know, it's somewhere over there, somewhere over that way. The command and control link, screw-ity! See, there we go, wrecked security. Is your radio. It's Express LRS. Most pilots fly on 2.4 gigahertz. How far do you think I can get on 250 milliwatts of transmit power from this radio? How many? Okay, we have 1 kilometer. 3.2. Price is Right rules. 10. Okay, cool. It's not encrypted, but there is an open source fork because all of this is open source. It's great. Privacy LRS, which wraps it in AES. Super cool. This is the Express LRS range competition table, and you can't read that, so I'll embiggen it. Transmit power, 250 milliwatts. Distance from pilot, 44 kilometers. And the part that I cut off here is whether or not the craft fail-safed, as in it lost its radio link for long enough to go into autonomous handling, which can either be, if you've got GPS, you can have autonomous return to home. If you don't have GPS, you can even say things like, hey, you should go into self-leveling mode and apply 18% throttle, which is something that you know that unlike a real aircraft, which loses fuel and mass over its flight, you know it's all up mass. You can say 18% throttle is slightly below a hover, so it'll descend slowly, and you can say do that for 60 seconds and then disarm. So you can set all these fail-safe conditions. This was 44 kilometers, and then it came back. Now it's on a wing, so it's like a fixed wing, so it's far more efficient. That's on 250 milliwatts of transmit power. So how far can you go with this? Well, depends. Is it autonomous? Do you want to be able to see what you're doing? Because there's really two options here. There's analog and there's digital. Analog, again, it's just analog TV. There's nothing exciting about it. It breaks up very reliably and recovers very reliably in the same way that moving the rabbit ears on an old TV reliably produced very similar results over time. Digital is just barebacking the Wi-Fi PHY. They basically find modules they can put in monitor mode to vomit HEVC frames out into the air using the Wi-Fi physical layer, which is super cool. It started with a project called Wi-Fi Broadcast. And there's a few different versions. There's HD0, Walksnail, and DJI, unless you're in the US. Come talk to me about how the FCC and DJI are currently working together, which is that they're not. And then there's a few open source objects or options. They're not super mature, they're okay, but I look forward to playing with them. I think that's gonna be really neat. Analog and digital don't play nice together. Again, this was supposed to be a video. So this is me taking off on analog with a bunch of other digital pilots around. And there comes to a point where I completely lose video suddenly because one of the digital pilots' transmitters switches to my channel and completely clobbers me. So a little bit about what's going on here. That is my video transmit power, 25 milliwatts. This is link quality. So this is how many of my control link packets are getting through and passing the checksum. So I have 100% link quality. Considering I haven't taken off yet, this is unsurprising. My RSSI dB on my control link, my signal to noise ratio for the noise floor in the area. So this is useful if I'm like flying around somewhere I expect to have 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi or a really poorly behaved print from anywhere printer. I don't know. And then this is the acceleration. And this was going to be a fun video because that's a barometer altitude. And this climbs from 0 to 50 meters in under a second. And that is this quad. So the difference between these things and what you get from a DJI or a camera drone or even like an RC wing is substantial. This has over a 10-to-1 thrust-to-weight ratio. They are incredibly fun to fly. So how far can you go? As far as I'm comfortable. Am I concerned about hitting someone, hitting something? If I lose control or video link, what do I do? If these things don't work right, what am I going to do? Do I know that I have a safe place to bail, right? If I am going to crash, I would rather not have a LiPo fire in a forest. I would rather the LiPo end up in a lake. Can I plan for this? Is this something I can think about ahead of time in even informal flight planning? We do this all day, every day, but the security professionals in the room do it somewhat formally, right? You think about, okay, well, when we do these things, if we're making these firewall changes, do we enter a fail open situation accidentally at some point if I misconfigure my switch or my router, or if I accidentally make 2 of the wrong changes in my Terraform, am I unintentionally going to remove both controls at the same time for deleting all of my company data, right? Like no one has ever accidentally removed both controls for deleting data, right? No one here has ever done that. So we do it informally all the time as security professionals. But when you are, because when you put the goggles on, you pick up the controller, you, for the most part, become the aircraft. And so you have a very visceral experience in terms of what is the risk that I'm imparting to the people and things around me. And it's incumbent on you to do it. Because at the end of the day, they are aircraft. As soon as they become airborne, under their own power, and aren't indoors, they're the jurisdiction of Transport Canada. They are aircraft. It doesn't matter if it's 21 grams or 2,100 kilograms. It's the same thing. They're covered under different classes of regulations. I mean, obviously, these are all micro drones. But you're subject to UAV regulations, you're subject to UAV pilot licensing, and you're subject to Canadian aircraft regulations, CARs. CAR 900.06 is basically, don't be an idiot. Don't fly recklessly and endanger people or stuff. And you still have to do that. So there was a post in a Facebook group being, hey, can I fly down this bridge in Edmonton with my DJI drone? And everyone's like, yeah, it's legal. It's not a violation of a drone rule. And I'm just like, yeah, but if anything goes wrong, you are liable. Here's the car that you are still eligible, that you still have to satisfy. If a single thing goes wrong and you cause any amount of damage, like you spook a driver because you fly past them and they cause an accident, it's your fault. So we still have to be aware and respectful of these things because at the end of the day, they are aircraft. So a few different notes about categories. Micro is the super common one. You don't need a license. You don't have to register it. You're subject to very few regulations. I'm assuming Ron's going to tell me when I have 5 minutes left. Okay, excellent. Because my phone is doing the 4th update for this morning. Samsung, I swear to Christmas. Basic, so this is the set of licensing schemes, 250 grams to 25 kilograms. That's a huge range. And then advanced, which is basically all sorts of the same stuff, but new environments, new situations, new things to do with them. All categories require registration for your aircraft. You can do it commercially or for research. If you're a hobbyist, the only place you don't have to register it is if it's a tiny thing. For everything else, there's an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate, which is basically, I want to do a weird thing. Hey, Transport Canada, can I do my weird thing? And they will take 30 to 90 days and say yes or no, which is entirely their prerogative. They can choose what they want to say. But that is how you do use these to get video at an advertised concert. A couple of the guys in the FPV community did FPV video for the Cascade concert at the Downs the other day. They were right next to the artists, all of them. But that's all done under SFOC. So a few other random things. Sometimes you need a parachute. If under the new drone rules in Canada, if you're going to fly over top of people, at an outdoor event, you need to make sure that you have one of a listed set of drones that are safe to fly over people, and a manufacturer has to certify it. Guess what? This has no manufacturer. I built it from parts that I did not light on fire, except for the ones that I did. Sometimes you have to survive lightning. The FAA has a notice of proposed rulemaking for a new part for the FAA in the States, which says that every UAV has to be able to survive a lightning strike. That would cover this. I'm going to go with no. So the NPRM, again, I'll set up a shop at the back, we can chat, is hugely problematic in a variety of reasons. Where's Rob?
Which one?
Okay, good point. The one that will call this one out. NPRM Part 108 requires autonomous strategic deconfliction and forbids UAVs from using ADS-B. How would a UAV know where a plane is if it can't use the thing planes use to know where they are? So it basically says you must do X, but you can't do it the way we already do it. Oh, by the way, there is no vendor or thing you can purchase or do in this space. This is impossible to comply with regulation. So the challenges we're having are almost the opposite of PCI version 3, which was so out of date and so irrelevant, or please rotate your passwords every 17 minutes because it's more secure, right? They're so forward-looking that they're impossible to comply with, as opposed to being so out of date that it's irresponsible to comply with them. So we have the exact same problem, just the other side of the coin. And it's interesting being in both worlds to see the relationships and how security has solved some problems that aircraft haven't, and aircraft have solved some problems that security hasn't. But at the end of the day, they're very, very similar. So security. We're going to really quickly rip through this one because this isn't the fun part. Pre-flight checks, vulnerability assessments, there's huge parallels here that you can walk through. And slides will all be up at the end. I don't want folks to just read stuff. I want you to listen to me because I feel that I'm more interesting. There's all sorts of things like real-time telemetry. This has a speaker. It can call out things to me that I can't see. It can call out telemetry warnings to me that I can't see, or if I'm too busy avoiding obstacles or focusing on a flight, I can instead have this do all of my telemetry readouts to me. Battery low, RSSI warnings, link warnings, battery capacity consumed, so that I'm not trying to use my single visual channel, which is currently being used for strategic deconfliction with static objects. I can use my audio and language channel to consume that instead. It allows me to more effectively use the wetware that I've got to do these things safely. Redundancy. Lots of flight controllers have dual gyros. And we'll use those to determine if one of them is bad. Because if one of them is bad, obviously you have an uncontrollable aircraft. So there's all sorts of fun stuff. The key takeaways are that at the end of the day, we all understand this stuff. Stuff is going to fail. Multiple failure modes are going to happen eventually. HDMI cable is bad. All this stuff is bad. What's to make some organizers nervous?
Yes.
Okay.
Do it.
Now I can't, so I have a thing, I could show everyone the video, but I can't do that. So we're gonna put this one up here.
I'm going to stand up here.
You should do that. You should introduce the next speaker while I do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, wait. Switch warning. Throttle warning. It's like, hey, you can't turn me on until it's in a safe space. Otherwise, if I connect, things are going to happen. Wings have this nasty habit of just going full throttle if you let them, even on the ground while they're in your hands.
Did it just tell you that you can't turn it on unless you're in a safe space?
No, it did not.
Oh, okay.
It said,
I hear that so often.
you can't, you're not in Transport Canada jurisdiction, right?
That's what it said.
Yeah, that's what it said.
While this is going on, does anybody have any questions for Mike? Because really, you want to distract him while he's flying with questions. Any questions? Nobody? I've got one for you.
Yes, sir.
You have quite a collection of quadcopters there.
I do.
But you also mentioned that fixed wing is, oh, thank you for flying at me. Fixed wing is more efficient, and you can get longer ranges with them. Do you have any plans to move into fixed wing?
My son would love to try out some fixed wing stuff, and he thinks that'd be really cool. So yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. You always do what your kids want.
Oh yeah, of course, right?
I saw a video of a guy who was trying to fly FPV from one island in Hawaii to another.
Oh my.
And he was going for some sort of distance record. But yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, what kind of price is it to get into that hobby? Are we talking like hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands?
The question was prices to get into the hobby, thousands, hundreds, tens, thousands. Where are we at?
The minimum entry is, if you're willing to accept analog video, which I'm happy to show you what that looks like, is relatively inexpensive. So this drone, the one I was just flying around here, is $130.
Just
Okay?
the drone.
Just the drone.
Okay.
Batteries are about $50, but you get about 10 of them. And each one lasts, depending on how you're flying, 2 to 3 minutes, which sounds like not a lot. It's a lot. It's fine. You can get a radio for under $100, and you can get goggles for under $100. So your total in to get into the hobby is about $300 to $400. If you're willing to cherry pick marketplace, it can be less. If you want to get in on DJI, that number goes promptly up to about $1,000. Right? If you want to get in on a digital system, so you just have better video quality, substantially better range and penetration, like it is in no question. Digital is just better because digital is better. But it can be inexpensive. And I'm more than happy to let some folks give it a shot. I've got plenty of videos recorded on here. You can see what it's like. Like I said, I'll set up on the back of the pool table there. But yeah, it can be, your minimum bar if you cherry pick sales is probably about $300.
Is it cheaper to go non-FPV and just get a flying drone and learn to fly that way, or is it just not worth the time?
It depends on your goal. If you want to do the flippy floppy and the loop-de-loops and the fun tricks, you won't be able to do that without going FPV. It will be very, very difficult to do that line of sight. You could start there. It will build habits that won't benefit you if you want to do the acrobatic style of flight. If you aren't interested in that, then just getting a little cheap toy drone from Amazon for under $100 with controller will do you just fine. It depends on your outcomes, for sure.
Cool. Anything else? Thank you, Mike.